with us.
Introduction, and good morning everyone. Really glad to see you all, and I'm sure this will be an amazing hour together discussing this really interesting topic. My name is Margherita Leder. As said, I'm substituting Pietro Azzara today, representing here Italia for LACChain, the largest Italian organization and consortium dedicated to the study and diffusion of blockchain. And we are really glad to be here with some really interesting speakers that bring together years of expertise and practical experience in the industry. So thank you all for joining us. Today, we'll quickly just introduce who's here with us, even if you see it on the screen. We're here together with Xenia Beltran, who is the Senior Project Manager and Coordinator of PharmaLedger. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Together with Montse Guardia, who is the Managing Director of Alastria, Alejandro Pardo, who is the founder and leader of LACChain, and lastly, Roberto Garcia, who is the head of blockchain engineering in Banco Santander. So glad to see this panel. I'll go directly to leave this floor to our speakers, because I think that's why we're here today. And I'll just ask them to quickly introduce themselves and how is their organization moving across the blockchain industry. And I'd like to start with Xenia. Xenia, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Xenia Beltran. I work for the Life Supporting Technologies Department at the University Polytechnical of Madrid, okay? Together with our director, Maria Teresa Redondo, we're the coordinators of PharmaLedger. Our department and our area, okay, we research and develop different technologies, among those blockchain for sure, okay, to improve what is the quality of life of final users. It could be people in general, people with or without disabilities, or patients as such. So what we do is we integrate technologies in their lives, at work, at home, for health and for leisure, okay, to really improve their quality of life. Regarding blockchain, we have several projects also, okay, that we are working in the area of food, in the area of manufacturing, but our biggest focus is healthcare, because it's also the focus of the department as such. So PharmaLedger is the biggest project we have in blockchain now, also the project that we're coordinating. It is a quite big project. It's a 22 million project co-financed by the European Commission under the Innovative Medicines Initiative, which is the IMI. The nice thing is that IMI support this creation of public-private partnerships, okay, aiming to boost innovation for safer medicines and for patients, okay, and at this point also for the blockchain. We're 29 partners working in PharmaLedger. 13 of them are top pharma companies, and 16 of them are either SMEs, research institutes, universities, which are not only, some of them are specialized in blockchain, but they're part of the value chain of the healthcare. So we have hospitals, we have also patients organizations. So what we are doing is creating this reference and a scalable blockchain platform, and we want to validate it in a wider scope of healthcare, which mainly focus in 3 areas: supply chain, clinical trials, and health data. And not only to really empower patients, but we want to increase, okay, the trust among all the stakeholders. So when someone really asks us sometimes what you are doing in PharmaLedger, in my words, I can say, well, we are rethinking trust among stakeholders in healthcare.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Xenia. We look forward hearing your expertise, especially in a year where healthcare is becoming like the key conversation we are having. And I'll leave the floor to Montse Guardia. Montse, would you introduce what Alastria is doing within the blockchain ecosystem?
Thank you very much, Margherita. Let me take 1 second to send a huge No, a huge regards to Pietro, no, and through you. And also, just to say, I'm very pleased to be in this panel full of friends. So really, really nice to be here. I'm just highlighting, no, Alastria, born, it was founded in 2017, no. In October we will have 3 years, and why we are doing that, celebrating 3 years. Why it's important to keep the mindset of the consortia. No? Alastria is an organization, it's an association, it's non-profit, and it's built based on the diversity of the members of the association. No? We started at the beginning, it was 9 founders, we grew until 87, and finally this year we're more than 500. And the reason to do that is to be as much as diverse as possible. No? So Alastria is an association non-profit. In this association, we have small, medium, and large corporations. We have academia, and here we have more than 52 universities. We have research centers, and we have technological parks. So that part is very important, is the transfer of technology to the industry. And also, and not less important, is all the administration, public administration or governments, no? On that idea that we can create, or we must do innovation by one thing, developing the technology of blockchain. We know that this is a recent technology comparing with the 30 years or more than 30 of AI. This technology is born or started to be born as a technology with Bitcoin 11 years ago, and formally as a blockchain, no, with more technology set 5 years ago. So it's very young still. So still we need to research and to keep doing proof of concepts and test for that. But in the second thing, and in parallel, it's critical that we do that with a view of completely innovation. That means this technology is disruptive, and it's disruptive in the way how do processes and how we work between different organizations. It's a connection between different stakeholders and different way of thinking on processes. So this is why in Alastria we keep pushing sectorals, and we keep thinking that we can bring the magic of blockchain through different segments, no, like health, bank, finance, and here Roberto, who is one of the founders, no, finance and banking, insurance, energy, and moreover, no, retail. We still have a lot to be done in terms of impacting with this technology in the segments. And last but not least, Alastria is here to build standardization, to create models. This technology is new, and we all together, we have been developing technology, but linked with law. So with the way of the new organization of using this technology has to be the new governance models, and to do so, we need to keep thinking on standardization, on creating new models of doing it. And for that, Alastria is working in these 3 axes, no? Technology, research, keep on going, industry and business and public administration to keep changing mindsets, and standardization to establish robustness.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Montse. We'll talk later for sure about governance, standardization, and models. But as you were referring to bankings, I'd like to leave the word to the other speaker that we have here today from Banco Santander. I'll leave the floor to you to introduce how Banco Santander is moving forward in this direction. Roberto, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Roberto Garcia. I'm leading the engineering team in Santander Digital in the Center of Excellence of Blockchain. We started to work in this technology in the year 2015. Basically, we work in 4 lines of work. First, we have a research team that is researching on public Ethereum and the new versions of the private Ethereum that they are coming to the market, analyzing the potential use within the bank and new business model that can be reached by using this technology. Then we participate in technical consortia like Alastria or the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. We help in the definition of new standards, new technologies and new ecosystems. Then we work in internal projects. We as a group, we are in many countries, in several continents. We can leverage blockchain technology to make our intergroup operation more efficient. We are doing it in things like fraud prevention and cash management. And the latest, we are also participating in what we call business consortia, like WeTrade, Vinturas, WeTrade, that is a trade finance consortium, Vintura, which is a consortium for logistics in the automotive industry, and also Iberpay, and Finality, where we are exploring the possibility to use cryptocurrencies as a way of making payments.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Roberto. We will ask you several questions about your expertise soon. And to close the introduction, and first round of introduction, let's ask Alejandro to introduce himself.
Thank you, Margarita. Grazie. Thanks for the invite to the EBC, and really congratulations for this extraordinary convention. I'm humble and honored to share this panel with Montse, Xenia, and Roberto. My name is Alejandro Pardo, a principal specialist at the Laboratory of Innovation of the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB Lab. And I'm the person with the privilege to lead the extraordinary team and group of industry leaders that compose LACChain. At IDB Lab, we thrive for transformative innovation with impact on inclusion. And in my very personal view, there is no better example of this job than LACChain. What is LACChain? LACChain is the global alliance for the development of the blockchain ecosystem in Latin America and the Caribbean. It's comprised by 22 extraordinary members, leaders of the industry, and is building a highway, which is actually the underlying basic infrastructure that will make blockchain possible for corporate grade use of the technology through open consortium models, which is actually what we will discuss during this conversation. Very happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. We look forward to your contribution. And I'd like to go directly to the key point of this conversation by asking a really direct question to Montse. Montse, if you will need to describe to a non-expert person, what is a blockchain consortium and how does this differentiate with other blockchains? What would you say? What would your answer be?
Thank you, Margaret. I will be very brief, but in the essential, no? So if you took the dictionary, no, we look at the Webster or whatever else, and you look for consortia. When you look for consortia, it's an agreement. So the first thing, agreement. There is an agreement, and there is a combination of groups, and here is important, group of companies or organizations. So there is an agreement with a combination of groups or companies or association formed to undertake, and this is critical, to undertake as a piece of thinking beyond with sharing resources of one or multiple members. So why we need a consortia and what is a consortia is that no, is an agreement between multiple parties that has seen or that they have the view that alone they will not go farther, they will not take beyond the development of an idea, a purpose, or a service, no? So I think the blockchain, and this is what is clear, no? When you analyze the technology, analyze what it does means, you need to go to think in a consortia, because it's the only way to really take the step further and get the benefits and really make the transformation and be innovative. So this is for me, and thank you for the question. It's not easy sometimes.
Thank you, Montse. I think it was really clear and straightforward to the point on, but I'll pick up on your answer and ask Alejandro. Alejandro, what do you think thinking on long-term perspective, which possibilities open for consortium models in blockchain application in consortium models? Which are the innovation that this model brings?
Thank you, Margherita. First, I do not believe that consortium models are one of the available options for specific use cases, but rather the most reliable and realistic option for constructing something that goes beyond specific use cases, which is actually the Internet of Value. As I have repeatedly stated in public fora like this one, blockchain is not less than the economy over the Internet. What do I mean by this? This is not about the intricacies of the blockchain concepts or specific use cases of private interest. This is about the real possibility of building an internet propelled, inclusive and efficient open economy over the Internet. The blockchain industry is different now from 1 month ago and different from 1 week ago. But let me share a little bit my diagnosis today. Okay, generalized use of blockchain-enabled solution in the economy is not a test problem, it's an ecosystem problem. Of all the problems in the ecosystem, the most important enabling factor or the most important issue is the availability of an underlying infrastructure. The most important hindering factor to construct this underlying infrastructure is not technology, is regulation. It's regulation, regulation, regulation. And I believe that the usual dichotomy between permission and permissionless infrastructure is hindering the tech development due to high prices, to volatile prices, and regulatory uncertainty. And I believe that price predictability and regulatory compliance can be solved with this third kind of solution, which is actually consortia-based open blockchain that can ensure open access, transaction fees close to zero, and full compliance with regulation with full privacy. So I think it's the moment in which, based on inspirations like the case of Alastria, which is actually a very inspiring and successful ecosystem development experience that we followed in the case of LACChain, it's time to roll up our sleeves and let's build together the Internet of Value. It can be supported by standard setting that is not theoretical, but rather based on the experience, day-to-day experience we're having in Latin America of establishing, supporting replication and learning from global interoperable DLT-based infrastructure. This is already happening. It's happening as we speak. LACChain is in use, and it's happening in 10 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. And we are already extending it throughout the region, and it will be completed in the next few years. And how are we doing this? And that's the important question in terms of potential. I think in order to make this possible, what we had all overlooked when trying to generalize to the use of blockchain is that it's nothing else than a layer over the internet. And the internet was developed itself by public-private partnerships, by consortia development as a generalized consortium movement facilitated by the Internet Society. It was not built in the absence of governance, but rather with a very strict governance based on neutral accountability units called Internet Exchange Points, IXPs, and public-private collaboration. That's exactly what we're doing in LACChain. In LACChain, we're being pioneers by developing the first regional blockchain exchange provider, BXP, and by developing the consortia that bring blockchain to the real world and builds upon the generally accepted governance standards of the internet itself. So we can make it possible, and we are doing it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your sharing your expertise in LACChain. And I'd like to move to Roberto by asking him, Based on your experience and in your opinions, which are the reasons that would bring a blockchain consortium to issue its own cryptocurrency or token? This would bring for sure some evolutions in the business models, like how would the business model change in face of an native token? Roberto.
Let me first explain you that we can differentiate two types of tokens or cryptocurrencies. Traditional cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ether in Ethereum are free floating. There is no central bank behind these currencies, so the value of this currency depends on the demand of the currency and also the value created.
Roberto,
yes.
Sí, te escucha un pelín mal. Sorry.
Ahora, now.
Yeah, better.
Okay, I will start from the very beginning. When we talk about cryptocurrencies, we have to differentiate two types of cryptocurrencies. The first one, the traditional cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ether, its value is based on the demand of this currency and also the value created in the network. So, for instance, in Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin depends on the demand for this currency and also the value that has been created in the Bitcoin. Normally, the reason for using this type of cryptocurrencies is to encourage the usage of the platform, creating what we call a token economy. I mean, for instance, in Bitcoin or Ethereum, the more you mine in the network, the more currencies you get as a reward from the platform. So you are creating value by mining the cryptocurrencies and also increasing the volume of usage of the platform. The problem with this type of cryptocurrencies is that apart from Bitcoin or Ether, there are very little examples of success in the market. So in Santander, we believe more in another type of cryptocurrency that are called stable coins. In this case, the stable coins are linked to a fiat currency or a stable basket of coins, where you have a price stability in the currency, and the purpose for using this type of cryptocurrency in a consortium is as a way of transferring value between the participants.
Thank you, Roberto. We'll get back to you later, but now I'd like to move to Xenia. Xenia, there's a really important topic while we're discussing consortium, and in the last few years, we have seen a massive growth and a number of new protocols and new blockchains worldwide. In the long term, this could bring to the network effect, and solutions and projects could be centralized in a few-take-all system. So how do you think that moving forward with interoperability would mitigate the few-take-all effect? How's your opinion on this? Xenia, to you.
So, actually, I mean, yes, it's true that we have many technologies and many technologies of blockchain taking the market, and probably some of them getting stronger, let's say that way. Okay, so we can see somehow this perception in the long term to have this effect, okay, of you take all as such. And actually, but actually, when you think of how even this conference is going, okay, that still blockchain is an emerging technology, that during these 2 days, we have seen how blockchain is bringing innovation, supporting using different types of technologies, supporting banks, financial institutions, public administration bodies, okay, and how they are integrating capabilities in different DLTs, business applications, and going really further than cryptocurrency, and it's changing day to day, as Alejandro was saying. Okay, mm-hmm. I'm not sure this effect, okay, as such might take place, but let's say even it take place, okay. Yeah, we think interoperability is very important. It can solve this issue, okay. Interoperability is key to maximizing this efficiency. However, we don't think at least, for example, when we were inside the PharmaLedger project, is the only thing, okay? Coupled with interoperability, you need to work in standards, okay? And you need to work in the governance to really make this network of trust, okay, a reality as such. When we said at the beginning that if someone asks us, I mean, what's PharmaLedger and how we're working and what we're doing, and I said, for example, redesigning trust, okay, for health data and the processes, okay? The issue is that besides interoperability and besides working in this platform, we're trying to be blockchain technology agnostic, okay? We think there is a space for many types of technologies to work, okay? So actually we work in our platform with different type of technologies as such, but on the top of that, we really are taking an approach to work with robust methods, you know, for treating the data. And that means also to avoid several issues and problems of scalability and confidentiality that are currently in the blockchain as such, okay? And with this, okay, we are taking new approaches, okay? We are working with a concept that is called data sharing units, okay? What is called DSUs. And this is kind of like, to say it in a short or in my words a little bit, how it works, like micro ledgers with a million of ledgers that anchor in the root ledger as such. So actually what we do is hashing, okay? And we think this also can support, okay, this interoperability, because through the DSUs, okay, we really shape on the content and we really shape, okay, in all the information that is going to go from one place to another one, okay, in a trusted manner as such. We really think, you know, and working try to work, or we have a project that is allowing us to work in a futuristic, let's say, manner a little bit, okay? What we want is that the companies that are there do not bet on one technologies and have all the eggs in the same basket as such. So we want the opportunity to really allow many technologies to come to really avoid this effect, not only through interoperability, but creating these other highways, let's say, okay, that go on the methods of processing data, and really to avoid this part of you-take-all process or perception that is coming, you know, when one technology is kind of like growing or taking market share in the market as such.
Thank you, Xenia. I think it was a really clear perspective on how interoperability and application of the different technologies can be beneficial to the ecosystem. I'd like to refer to Montse and ask that you were describing to us before what's a consortium and how does it work, but like in your experience, what are the benefits and let's say the silver linings of being in a consortium such as Alastria, for example?
I think, and I will support, I hope it's heard well. I will support what Alejandro, Roberto, and Xenia was talking, no? They all three, and myself too, we are convinced that the first benefit is the learning from each other, no? I think once we decide to do something new, it's very difficult yourself alone to realize what this means, what is the impact, what are the risks, no, where I'm going. So just having a good partnership with members of a consortia that shares the same need to track, to follow, to go through ideas and share the risk. That's the first thing, no? Share the risk and put in place mitigation actions together that will become new ways of doing things, no? What Alejandro was saying clearly, no? We need a new internet of value. So to create a new internet of value, first step is we share together views as much diverse as possible in order to keep a good perspective. And this is for me the first benefit. Join to share this knowledge and to gain this knowledge. That's the first thing. The second thing for me is what we say, the test for invest, no, invest for test. So if you really want to do testing until you do something new, it's some initial investment that also needs to be shared, no? So it's the way that we don't lose investment, because we are sharing infrastructure, sharing open source, sharing testing, because this is very expensive to really put good talent people who understands the technology testing together, no? So that's another benefit. The other, I had highlight, no, the standards, participate, no? I think it's very interesting when somebody asks you to participate in the new definition of the new internet, because we believe that, no? We believe that this is a technology of impact. We, as we said, no, impact for benefit from the pharma and the healthcare, impact for inclusion, no? You want to make impact, and in Alastria, we align our actions to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations, because we want to make impact. So to do that, you need to get into consortia, no? And finally, and I try to summarize, no? Economy, digital economy. We still are at the beginning of that. We still have traditional economy, very well known, but leisure like blockchain is offering. No, Roberto was talking about the crypto, no, the crypto use, because it's a new change that we are all embracing. We are in a new era, and thank you see, you are in a new era, and also we have an alert, the pandemic. So we have an alert on the pandemic, and we have a huge need to be in a new era. And in this new era, and in this new age, is about that, about doing it together and defining new steps. So new digital economy in a way that we can benefit all. So this is, for me, the benefits of embracing the consortium.
Thank you, Montse. So the key point here is the synergy that you can develop by working together with others and making progress on this. And on this point, on the moving forward and evolution, I'd like to go back to Roberto to ask him, Roberto, you and Banco Santander, you have been using Ripple for cheaper cross-border payments to millions of retailers and commercial customers. So you have evolved your infrastructure in a really innovative way. And I'd like to ask you, which were the main reasons you decided to go in this direction and moving forward? Roberto.
Okay. Can you hear me, Margarita?
Yes, but if you can speak a bit louder, it would be better.
Perfect. First, we made a decision to...
Roberto, you break up.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Okay, try continuing.
Maybe if I put this further. Okay. First, the main reason why we wanted to use Ripple was because we wanted to improve the customer experience when making international transfer for our customers. The blockchain technology allows us to have a real-time settlement of the transaction, and also a traceability on where the transaction is in case there is a problem. And the reason why we decided to use Ripple is because in 1915, when we started to work with them, was there were not so many consortia, and Ripple was offering an ecosystem of banks already there. Banks which were we can transact and exchange value with them. That was the reason.
Thank you, Roberto. And so, like, given some thoughts to one side here with Roberto, we discussed the relevance of having a better experience for the customers. But on the other side, I'd like to go back to Xenia and to discuss another really relevant element, also for the customers and anyway for the whole ecosystem. That is the secure infrastructure. So in this time, especially in 2020, we have been discussing a lot the relevance of custody of healthcare related data. And we have seen that sometimes stakeholders are really not eager to share information between each other, lowering the research and development process and operations. And in this sense, how do you think blockchain consortia may resolve this issue and may bring the innovation forward? Xenia.
Yeah, thank you very much. So actually, it's true what you just commented, okay? It's true that there is a need to share, okay, and have more access to information, especially in healthcare across the networks as such. We saw that need during the COVID, okay? We saw that need was also further, okay, because we also could see that due to these issues, okay, also some efficiencies in the supply chain were observed, okay. And actually, there is a need to create this environment for sharing data, okay? And actually, it's an environment where you have the need to trust, okay, that the information you get from the other ones, okay, is trusted as such. So actually, what the COVID and what healthcare in this under this context show us is that we're still in early days, okay, from moving data from one organization to another one, as such, okay. And yes, consortium blockchain is a possible response to this issue, as Montse say, okay. This is under the concept, okay, of having an agreement. So actually, if you have an agreement for that, okay, for sure, okay, it's easy somehow to have this exchange of information because you will have the agreement for that. And I think under the context of having in a platform one type of blockchain, okay, this could work easier, okay? In our case, in PharmaLedger, okay, we are looking for this and to really share this information, but we have seen each other in the need of going a little bit further of what would be a consortium as such, okay? The fact is that under the concept that we have of having a platform of several type of blockchains as such, okay, we think we need to be more flexible, okay? So we are not sure, for example, in our case, okay, if that would be the model. We are looking at several models as such, okay? We need to support some inclusiveness, let's say that way, okay? Especially having several big organizations that not only have to compete and collaborate but they have to do both things at the same time as such. So this is why we are working also in other methods, and we're looking also at other, let's say, formulations. We're looking and working since month one, okay, at these issues, and looking how people or organizations or other consortium that had been done in advance or created before us, how they have done it. But on our side, we think we need a little bit of freedom to operate especially for the satellite blockchains. And in our case, we are evaluating a little bit further of blockchain consortium. But overall, I mean, if you work with one type of blockchain and you get to this agreement, for sure, it could be one solution one of the solutions for these issues.
Perfect. Thank you, Xenia. Thank you very much. And I'd like to close this second round of questions by asking Alejandro, one of the main objectives you mentioned at the beginning of LACChain is to establish an inclusive and open network and consortium in Latin America and the Caribbean. So I think it would be really interesting for us to get an idea on how the regional movement is going and how the consortium can have a strong impact on, and the application of blockchain within a consortium can have a strong impact in your region of expertise. Alejandro.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for the question. Actually, LACChain is already making blockchain becoming a reality in the Latin American and the Caribbean region based on a consortium model. The program has been around for 1.5 years and has already supported consortia in 6 countries in the region. We started with Argentina, then we went to Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Peru. And it's already in action and has already developed blockchain-based solutions on top of its infrastructure LACChain network in a total of 9 countries, including also Brazil, Honduras, and Barbados. So it's pretty much extended, but we are actually opening country after country to complete the whole region within the framework of 4 years. In terms of the infrastructure, as I mentioned, the program, I mean, the LACChain has already deployed the LACChain network, which is actually a blockchain infrastructure which enables corporate-grade use of technology through a consortia-based network that it's actually setting global standards. The LACChain infrastructure is up and running, and it includes native applications that are very useful for our clients throughout the region that are already listed in the app stores, both in Apple and Google. The regional effort has been recognized globally and has been particularly listed by the ITU, by the Standard Setting Organization of the United Nations, and as one of the architectures of reference for blockchain. I'm very, very proud of that. And it has also been referred by ISO in terms of our techno-legal framework for digital identity, for self-sovereign identity, and our governance standards. So we are very happy to report that what we are doing in Latin America is already influencing globally, and very happy. And it has been recognized by the market. I mean, there are already 30+ entities working over LACChain and more than 50 use cases over the infrastructure. Some of these use cases include financial inclusion through KYC, cross-border payments between the four customs of the Pacific Alliance, the development of a platform for procurement in Honduras, Peru, Guatemala, academic credential in the Caribbean, and we're working actually at this point in time in the issuance of a bond based on blockchain, and also in a transparent vaccination platform based on blockchain for COVID-19, which is actually something I would like to talk to Xenia about. And there are more than 560 entities already listed and interested in using LACChain. So market is recognizing. And of course, and last but not least, our investors. I mean, there are more than 20 partners here today working together and co-investing in LACChain, and is actually at this point in time establishing LNet, which is a spin-off, a legal entity to operate this infrastructure at full scale, that it's actually attracting interest and investment interest, particularly by additional corporate investors. So very happy to report that LACChain is making the Internet of Value a reality through practical use, compliant with regulation of corporate grade use of blockchain, and transforming reality to create what actually Montse mentioned, which is actually the new digital economy, which will make more inclusive the use of monies and the distribution of them to create also a new society.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alejandro. And I think the discussion we're having here is giving the audience and each other a really interesting perspective on how Consortium can be a beneficial for the ecosystem, also in the application that driven by Consortium can happen in the industry. So I'd like to see if the audience has any question for our speakers. So I'll ask the support of the organizers and to see if there's any question. But in the meanwhile, I have one last point I would like us to discuss. And it's this one. It's a really interesting one that is regarding governance. So one of the main difference of a consortium in blockchain consortia is the governance. Usually the validation procedures are related to a priori validation node with a majority rules. So in the long term, governance may impact on security, and there may be difficulties in order to rearrange a long-term majority. But this is a really, I think, specific question, but I'd like to discuss in giving the floor to our speakers for a quick analysis of the governance of these models in Consortium, and what do you think? Well, I think we'll have 2 minutes per speaker to be beneficial. So Montse, I'll start with you. What's your opinion on this?
Thank you, Mar. I think, and I will take the opportunity to thank the organization, Victoria and Daniel, for this European Blockchain Congress new edition, because it's all about your question. So it's about creating what is going to be the new internet, what is going to be the new economy in a digital model, what will be then the governance. And this is a question that is really to take it further, because it's not so easy. It's not so easy than when we created this technology, it was to reduce the human, let's say, control of some few to some others, and then the machines do it, because at the end we program the software. So at the end there is someone who is programming the software. Is not, we need to be sure that we understand what this means when something is digital. It means that there is engineers that are working on this way of defining how is transmit the value. So about what you said, this is one thing is for sure. We need a new internet where security by design is already embedded, and this is the big difference. If we move forward from tech point of view, you are adding more security, but you are also adding more elements of privacy and self-opportunity to become owner of your data, to be sure or to be conscious what is the change of data is going between you and others. And this is something, the first step is be conscious that you can be there. Second step, how will we govern? What is governance? So it's more about two things, and this is real legal and ethic. Is what about who is determining the control? And if it's that control being done by regulation, is done to help you to what is the purpose of introducing this control, is to help the majority or to help few of them. So all that is also reflected in the technology. So if we understand the use and how it's going to become these use cases and how we are going to define this new economy, that will help us also technology. There is a mirror in the technology, the use of the technology and the design of this new technology, on understand how we can govern the technology. So governance of the technology will determine the governance of the use case and the opposite. So this is why still, for me, we need to keep working on in the consortia and to explore what are the governance models, because it will be clear that we want to be a little bit far away of someone's owning the data of more, So, and if we want to be more inclusive and we're more fair as a society and more wealth and health, we need to guarantee that we dedicate enough hours to study that. So I will say still to study and to determine what is the best governance model. But I open I open this question to the rest of my colleagues in the panel.
Thank you, Montse. I'd like to ask Roberto in few words what his opinion on this. But Roberto, we also have a direct question from the audience to you. And the question comes from Leonard Gosnen, who is asking if Banco Santander is already live with the XRP or if you are planning to go live soon. So I'm asking this direct question from the audience, but also we would like to have, in a couple of words, what you think of the governance situation and the
do you want me to answer the questions first or the governance? Okay, regarding the XRPs, no, we are not using XRPs. As you probably know, Ripple has two flavors, an open market that is similar to Bitcoin, where they are using XRP as a cryptocurrency. In our case, we are using a different technology, which is called Xcurrent, and is used by banks to make transactions between us. There is another question that maybe I can also answer, is the acquisition of Quorum by consensus. I think it's a very good news, because the problem we had with Quorum, and one of the reasons why in our case we were using Besu, that is a technology that is backed by consensus, is that Quorum was developed by a bank without a proper technology support from them. So the acquisition by consensus, I think, is a very good news, because we're allowed to convergence between both products and a more professional customer service, a technical service for us. And regarding governance, I think I see two different kinds of governance here. One is the legal business governance about which are the business rules of the consortium, which are the procedures to enroll new participants into the consortium, like any group of companies that join together to make an association. Okay. But in the case of consortium, we also have a big thing here regarding technology. We need to agree on the technology stack that we are using. We need to agree when we make a development, an evolution of the platform, we need to agree that everybody is using the same stack and the same version of the platform. Otherwise, we cannot work.
Roberto. On this, I'll move to Xenia by asking her the same question on how you envision governance in these processes.
Okay, so actually, it's true. I mean, regarding your question, that governance may impact security. That was your question as it's such. Okay, because actually, blockchain is a typical socio-technical implementation. Okay, so actually it's governance which is going to help you to create in the ecosystem, because blockchain per se doesn't work as such. Okay, it's linked to also many other technologies like multi-cloud, and also the systems that currently are going in the different organizations to really support this value of the blockchain. So really to create this trusted environment, especially for health, okay, either in health data, clinical trials and supply, okay, is needed, and it's needed to have this governance, okay, to not only empower the patients, but to build a healthier society. And it's true, as you commented, that it changed from let's say project to project or implementation to implementation. I understand that this governance, as you commented, okay, it could be let's say ruled, okay, at some point, okay, by the majority, okay, when you need to have these common goals. But in our case, for example, we're still looking at it because, as commented, we're looking for some kind of also flexible, let's say, approaches, okay, and we're working to it because we are looking for this freedom of operation also, especially for the satellites blockchains that are linking to our platform. Okay, and actually somehow at some point we have to ask ourselves, okay, if for everything in the blockchain, okay, everything has to be arranged by the long-term majority as such. Okay, for some things we believe it might, okay, and to have these common goals, but we have to remember that there is also competition. So actually for our approach of different types of blockchains, okay, we will be thinking these kind of questions. We're still in early stages, so for the next one, we will bring actually our answer for this.
Perfect. And we look forward to the next step on this. But in order to close our conversation, I'd like to ask Alejandro, like your perspective on this, plus based on your expertise in the consortium in LACChain, like the audience is asking if there's any specific suggestion on how smaller technology developers or startups can get involved with consortium. Like if you have any suggestion on this based on your strong expertise, and of course to close our conversation on the governance and to conclude this moment together.
Yep, thank you, and thanks for the question. Thank you, Margarita. We actually are experiencing that LACChain is promoting the development of startups based on blockchain, and what LACChain is providing, it's actually making thinner the protocol that it's hindering the development of startups, which is more important than the application layer of the startup ventures. And by making thinner the protocol and make it easier and available, the protocol layer for new startups, it's actually making many new startups to benefit from an environment which is lowering operational and financial risk for entrepreneurship, and making regulatory compliance the use of blockchain, and of course, developing the markets within the LACChain members for new startups and so on and so forth. So this is actually something that is becoming a reality also in the context of LACChain. And regarding governance and majority rules, let me be a little bit provocative in my answer to the concerns related to majority rules and decentralization. I think the LACChain is demonstrating that that blockchain is changing very much. There's has nothing to do what blockchain is today that what it was at the beginning. And I think it's majority rules. It's really a non-issue. It's not a question anymore. What's happening with majority rules? The key question is making sure that it is not a degree of centralization that may undermine the network governance. And LACChain governance framework is actually solving this problem and optimizing decentralization, performance, and accountability at the same time. It's open and decentralized. First, in LACChain, any entity fulfilling certain technical rules can deploy a validator node and then participate in the consensus protocol and generate blocks. So it's completely open in terms of validator nodes. Second, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are establishing a neutral underlying orchestration entity, our BXP, blockchain exchange points, which based on the internet itself will be in charge of the network operation, which is actually a governance that has nothing to do with the technological governance and majority rules. And last but not least, we are ensuring a great degree of decentralization and a rotation system of validator nodes. So we do believe this level of centralization compares positively with any alternative. And if we compare with Bitcoin, for instance, that has been mentioned, actually Bitcoin, in our view, is at the end of the day, have become very centralized. We all know that there are 7 mining farms that are controlling the mining process. And this is a degree of centralization that is actually probably more centralized than some consortia, and specifically in LACChain, we're very confident that we have a minimal valuable centralization, which is actually very decentralized, and that's a little bit. I mean, I think the industry and the model-based consortia are already solving this problem, and we're very close to have very decentralized and highly performant blockchains to develop the market.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Alejandro, for this wrap up on our roundtable today. I'd like to thank all the speakers for taking the time to be with us today. And so thank you, Roberto, Xenia, Montse, and Alejandro, of course. We also would like to thank the organizers for organizing this really interesting space. As Italia for Blockchain, we are really glad to always take part in these conversations because we think it brings the market forward. And I know Montse has some final words. So,
yeah, just because I want to answer the questions that I saw that are directly, and I'm very happy because it's for a member of Alastria. So very short. First, become a member, because if you are a member and you are a small company, it's 500 euros a year. Come on, this is what you can do. Alastria bringing you in terms of marketing, and also is the cost of a scholarship. You can do it, and we are welcome you. 47% of the members of Alastria are small companies. Second, yes, that's right. We need developers. We are, and this is myself claiming the polytechnics, claiming the universities, claiming we must study development in these technologies. And I agree completely with the member of Alastria who is putting the question. We must enforce and reinforce the deployment of the software together with the rest of the members. Thank you. I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Margarita, Xenia, Montse, Alejandro, Roberto. I could see you could have continued for another few hours, but I had to cut you because we have another panel on standards now, and they're waiting and they're looking at me and like, okay, are we going on? So Thank you so much. Incredible panel, and I hope you will join us in the next session. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Our pleasure.
Thank you all.
Pleasure.
Bye.